try and help maximize your Airbnb, or if you're thinking about getting started into Airbnb, what we can help you with, or what the industry is currently offering, and why it's such a lucrative sort of property strategy currently in the market. We are Houst is currently managing over 6,000 properties worldwide. So we have a lot of data, a lot of insights, also deal with property managers and owners on a day-to-day basis. So you're going to learn a lot of insights to what the struggles are with holiday let managing, but also into what are the benefits and what we see as a great strategy to make the most from a property portfolio. So today's session, it's about an hour or 45 minutes long. We've got a bit of time at the end for questions. And please, as I said earlier, please leave any questions in the comment area as you go, as they come. We've got people on standby to answer all your queries. So please, we also have breaks throughout. So whenever, after each sort of topic, as you can see on the screen right now, we have a little Q&A session where we have our team to answer. So I want to do a bit of a session introduction, what we're going to currently do. I want to get to know you guys better, so I make sure I understand who is on the call exactly, whether you're a property manager, whether you're thinking about getting to Airbnb, or whether you have currently a landlord with a portfolio of 30 properties thinking about getting to short-term lets. We're going to talk about the data we're currently experiencing in the market, what we expect this summer, and how the data is astonishing looking forward into June, July, and August. I want to make sure anyone who is trying to source a new investment property and a new Airbnb, how they can go about doing that, how can they make sure they're going to maximize that, like ADR, which is average daily rates. We've got loads of community perks throughout this whole call. So we give you discounts and special offers for joining us with some of our partnerships. We've got a mortgage advice, finding the right one. Like, there's a lot of questions which arise with our hosts on from landlords, especially with, can I use it for buy-to-let mortgage? Can I use that for Airbnb? So we have partnered with a mortgage advisor to help you gain some more information on this. We've got marketing your short-let properties, the best ways to go out doing that, how you can maximize your income, how you can stand out in the crowded market currently in some cities, what's the best way of doing that. Interior design, we've got some great data on showcasing the impact of interior design on the revenue of a property, which we'll really be happy to share with you guys today. We'll also be talking about the technology advancements in the area, how you can almost automate the whole process of managing your Airbnb. Choosing the best amenities. So this is like from Wi-Fi, Netflix, all these different add-ons that really do make a big difference to your guest experience, driving that 5-star review, and ultimately long-term success with your Airbnb. We're just going to be talking about like the maintaining of your property. This is the maintenance work, like what can go wrong, but don't panic. Like, there's a lot of things that you can have in place to mitigate those risks, and also really like minimize any hassle that maintenance can bring to your property portfolio. How you manage cleaning, also communicating with guests, reassuring that 5-star Airbnb review comes through to you at the end of someone's stay. At the end, as I said, there's some time to answer more Q&As, and then we go into, you can book a free consultation at the end with one of our team, and we give some great sign-up bonuses with Houst. Firstly, who's on the call? So as I said, my name's Tom Wheeler. I'm currently leading the Community Lead program, which is bringing in strategic partnerships, trying to make Houst a place for complete hassle-free short-term letting and Airbnb-ing. I'm joined by Mo, my colleague, who's a short-let expert. He's almost onboarded over 1,000 different properties in many regions across the world. He speaks to hosts on every day, and he understands what's in it for our hosts, the sort of money behind it, and what stands out in the market. So he will bring all his tips to you guys, and he's a great guy to speak about what Houst does and how Airbnb could be a great strategy for you. So let's get started. So the current trend in the market. So we work very closely with Airbnb. It's a partner of our booking partner. We collect loads of data from them and from also our booking data platforms. So we can see that, look at the trend after COVID-19 in 2020 and 2021, you can see the dip in Airbnb nights. But last year was an astonishing year with over about 350 million guest bookings taking place over the year across Airbnb. With that, we're already forecasting, as you can see, for about just over 400 million bookings by the end of 2023. As you currently see, about 200 million bookings have taken place across the platform. This growth is obviously a trend going upwards, and we want to capture that currently and before the market becomes saturated with Airbnbs, when people start catching on to how good of a business this is for property. To get ready for the summer, so we just recently released a report with some of our property platforms. We have just seen data that the nightly rates over the summer are currently increasing by 32% compared to all year round. And within popular tourist destinations such as Brighton, Edinburgh, and even London, we're seeing about 42% increase in the average yield compared to all the rest of the year. We're seeing with our data team looking at analyzing all our data across the 6,000 properties, we're seeing that the number of available listings increasing by about 8.6% from 2022. And this is with Airbnb currently is about 1.4 million properties listed on Airbnb worldwide in 2023. February, which we always regard at Houst as a low season after the January blues. No one's really going on holiday, especially in the UK. We saw guests totaling about 12.9 million nights stayed this year, up to nearly 20% on last year's recording. This is astonishing and a very significant data point for us. It gives us a lot of confidence to say that this summer is going to be the best yet. So we just want to sort of show you an example of what sort of property we're dealing with at Houst. This is one of our very high performing Airbnbs currently. One of our hosts very kindly allowed us to showcase this Brixton property. We basically did this property about 2 years ago, and we've seen around about 86.4% occupancy last year. On average, this is about £62.8 thousand yearly revenue. I want to just show you this graph now. Our design team brought this up with our data. You can see how the summer trend is coming ahead, right? You can see that he almost earned £8,000 in comparison to the around about just under £3,000 in March last year in 2022. We want to just say that if you're going to start moving the short-term lets, it's crucial you start moving as soon as possible to make sure that you get listed, live, and getting bookings in before this summer period. We can see the red line going through the graph. This is what an estate agent valued the property at, this current property before. How gorgeous it is. We're valued at 3.8k a month or 3.8 thousand pounds a month on an estate agent valuation. Look at the astonishing data in 2022, what we managed to get. In July, just over 8,000 or about 8.5 thousand pounds from that property yield. In August, just over 8,000 pounds, totaling that's 62,000 pounds or nearly 63,000 pounds that year. Obviously, the host was astonished and couldn't recommend more the switch from long-term lettings or not even choosing long-term lettings to moving into the short-term let area. I want to just say, as this is all about the current trends in the market, these are the best summertime hotspots we're seeing in our data with the increase in the average daily rates. So Brighton is number 1, London closely followed, Devon in number 9, which is awesome to see, Cornwall, Bath, Edinburgh, Cambridge. Bristol comes in today at 11th. Norfolk is also doing very well on the short-term let market. So if you have a property in any of these areas, I give you the confidence to make sure you make that switch to short-term lettings and get you live before the summer season comes in. So we have our data team put together this graph for us. We can show you the average nightly rates over the summer in several key of our Houst locations. So we have London, Edinburgh, and Manchester, the 3 biggest cities that we operate in. So we have the current Airbnb rate per night and over the summer. It's about £240 a night in London. With Houst and under Houst management, we achieve £365 a night. And we almost see about, on average, 30% more we make for our clients through all our technology, our professional team behind you, and also just the know-hows on what to do in the market and how to deal with situations. So this is the data. We expect nothing different this year. We still project to make 30% more for our hosts coming up this summer. And yeah, it's very surprising that London, it's not that surprising that London comes in with the biggest ADRs in the UK, about £365, followed by Edinburgh, with festivities such as the Fringe, driving that price up in August. And then Manchester, a great place and one of the best places to buy short-term letting in the UK currently. So I want to go on to where to source your property, right? So we partnered, or with Houst, we partnered with many other property companies, great prop tech firms that are really striving for better in the industry and making it hassle-free. Property data basically does all the sourcing for you. Any property investment you're looking at, they run the data on you of potential yield returns, the capital growth, the rental values forecasted, which is assisted by our algorithm. We also look at property stock analysis, such as demographics in the area, who's buying properties in a nearby location, which is so crucial. Also, the current ownership, like who you should contact about it, who you need to know how to get that investment property. It's really making property extremely transparent and also extremely accurate with data. The best bit is I spoke to one of our hosts that bought a property through property data, and it gives you like a negotiation sort of asking price, and he reckons the property data tool saves about £30,000 in negotiation based on the data of who's looking at that property, when and where. There's also like an automated feature where it drives out property listings or property investment opportunities to your personal objectives. So I'm looking at Bristol, Clifton and Bristol, let's say, they would drive you properties that have come on the market, which are great investment property opportunities. So there's on the screen now, I'll send this after in the email. But if you scan the QR code, you have a little look on their site if you want to play around with them, either after the call or even during the call. I hope you're still with me on this. Basically, with our subscription or with our sort of link, you get a free trial period, and after that, 50% off any plan you're on. Or you can use a discount code on checkout. I really recommend just playing around with that. It's a free trial period. If you're looking to buy a property, definitely get on it and look at the data before moving forward. Moving forward with another community perk, a lot of questions come from buy-to-let landlords with regards to, can I do it without holiday let mortgage? And to be honest, we can't give you that advice. It's up to you. It's up to your personal preference as a landlord to move forward to short-term let market, right? But as a result of this, as we can't give the advice, as we're not guaranteed advisory, we've partnered up with Meet Margot, one of the newest and the newest prop tech firms looking to make mortgage advice hassle-free and remortgaging or buying a new home hassle-free with mortgaging. They are about to launch next month, so please stay in contact with us, and we will send over the link to go to the website and reach out to their team before it goes live to discuss the best opportunities around what would happen. So the rental, I want to just talk a bit about holiday let mortgages. They're quite niche in terms of there's only, I think, on the top of my head, we only dealt with 8 different firms in the UK that deal with holiday let mortgages. So Meet Margot are now entering this market, which is crucial for all of our landlords who are about to start their property business. We want to just make sure you can share like a key points to consider. So on the screen in a moment, this is like they sort of give us information for this PowerPoint. Rental income of like typically 125% and 145% of the interest payable on a mortgage. Make sure that you're eligible for holiday let mortgage. They are free or fee-free brokerage. They're very keen for you to reach out for any advice, and they will be able to help consult and advise you on the best way to get started with holiday let mortgages. Have you got any questions at all? My team are on standby to answer. I can see my team typing away in the comment section. But yeah, please reach out and let us know on the comment section if you have any questions.
Cool. We have a few questions already lined up in the chat, so I'll take a few of them. Katya was asking, what is your recommendation for a minimum stay?
Yeah, so on that, our screening team recommend that we basically do a 3-night minimum stay. This is to reassure that we have no risk to a booking. A lot of our hosts also do 2 nights, just to make sure we can drive those bookings in and get those occupancy rates up. But 3 nights is a guarantee that it's a low risk booking with short-term lettings. We also have guest vetting software and guest vetting team to minimize any chance of any disruption from a guest. But yeah, we would say about a 2 nights to a 3 nights minimum stay is required to reassure you that your guest that's renting your property out is not doing it for any other use than just staying there.
Cool, thank you for that. Another question from the chat, from Yana. Do you only deal in the UK?
Houst is the first and one of the only worldwide short-term let management companies. We're currently based in 19 cities and 12 different countries around the globe. We're based, so the UK base, I think I went through it earlier, it's Edinburgh, Brighton, Manchester, Dublin. We've also got Bristol, Bath, London is one of our biggest. Yeah, and so those are our UK properties, but we're also based in Cape Town, Sydney, Australia. You can come onto our site. At the bottom, scroll down to the bottom, you can see all of the regions we are operating in. We're just about to launch a franchise partnership as well, and we've already got a lot more about to launch in many more areas around Europe, especially. Lisbon is also a great market alongside Paris. And yeah, so please take a look at all of the locations that we're operating.
Well, and for that, there's another question from Christina, pretty much about the flexibility. So she's saying that she's new to buying a property, and she wants to go a property that she can basically live in and then Airbnb out when they're away.
Yeah, so Houst is set up, basically Houst is based off the typical Airbnb, the digital nomad. Our CEO was doing that one himself, and he thought, why, who's managing my property when I'm away? So basically, yeah, you have all the freedom to block out key dates that you want your family to be in the property, whether you're staying in the property. You on our digital dashboard, if you become a house partner, you get to do. We manage everything around that. So you get to travel abroad, rent while you're abroad, come back to a nice clean property. We have many hosts in London, for example, who over COVID were lucky enough to buy a second home, and now they put their second home with Houst, but also their London apartment, and they do 3 days in London, and when they're away for the weekend in their country house or second home, we manage their property for them. So they use Houst for both properties, and it's a great way to maximize yields and using Airbnb to its full potential. So yeah, you get to block out all the dates you want to do, basically.
All right, welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for your patience. We do apologize for the slight delays, but we are back and we shall move forward. So to run you through sort of marketing your short-let property, it always comes down to where are you going to market it. And with us here at Houst, what we look to do is always maximize your exposure and make sure we're reaching as many people as possible. We use platforms such as Expedia, Booking.com, Airbnb, Vrbo. We also use platforms like Home Alike and Zoopla, which goes back to what my colleague Tom said about our blended approach. So that's how we maintain the exposure throughout all the properties, and we make sure that everyone who's thinking of staying at a property somewhere in this world will find your property available on any platform they go to. So of course, the main question that everyone has is, which platform is dominating the short-let industry? As you can imagine, and most of you know, we refer to short-term rentals as Airbnb, just due to the fact that they are very out there and they have the highest market cap, market cap. Sorry about that. But you do see here that Booking.com, following certain trends over the span of 2022, moving into 2023, have actually been coming up more and more, and they're starting to dominate the scene as well, earning a bit more ground for them. And other platforms as well are starting to gain traction, which is always good.
So we're using some of the latest technology at Houst to really automate the whole property management process, making it hassle-free. Some of the standout technology we're using is the pricing algorithm. Based on thousands of data points, our data team has built an algorithm that basically using thousands of data points to align and generate those ADR revenues, but 30% higher for short-term lets, but also nearly 56% higher for traditional letting points. Keyless entry now is dominating the market. We have many providers now looking at keyless entry, where you can use an app to really scan into the property, and also make sure each time a guest arrives, the key changes on the app, and it's just all automated completely. This booking sync, as Mo touched on earlier, is critical in terms of we are able to sync up to over 14 different, or just over 13 to 14 different platforms in the market, giving you the most exposure possible in terms of what occupancy rates you can get up to. And that's how we hit the 83.3% on average for all our properties. It's through linking up to all these platforms, which if you have any sort of platform you want us to do at Houst, please bring it forward when you bring a property on with us. We can link you up to these different property platforms in different markets, especially. So choosing the best amenities, as I spoke about earlier, the furnishing and the interior design work, we basically want, when you build your listing with our onboarding team, to hit all of the things that guests want on stay. We see Wi-Fi and Netflix and all these different smart TVs and subscription packages crucial to generate that 5-star review. Bathroom essentials, we partner with sustainable toiletry brands, which our hosts also have access to, which allows them to replenish toiletries when they want. A dedicated workspace is crucial now with the rise in digital nomads and people looking for long or mid-term lets to rent out and work from home across the globe. Laundry, we only partner with some of the best laundry providers in cities. We make sure every laundry is hotel quality, all the linen and bedding and sheets is all hotel quality. So we know we can maintain the quality across all our properties, wherever they are in the world. So how do you take action? Well, we have a 24-hour guest support team based all over the world, so maybe South Africa, UK, and Sydney. But these guys are operating 24/7. This means that someone loses their keys 3 a.m. in the morning. They don't ring you as a host, they ring our team, meaning you have no headaches knowing that they got checked in on time and okay. We also developed a guest support app, which pushes out loads of data to your guests. Make sure that, let's just say, the Wi-Fi password, they check the app saying, what is that about, or how does that work? We basically send it straight to them there and then. It basically replaces the welcome booklet, right? So anything to like how does washing machine work? This app pushes out all this data with regards to that. With this, we have about a 92% response time to guest queries within an hour, which is critical. We sort of study that if you don't do that, the 5-star review will drop significantly. So as a result, we maintain the expectation of a great customer service and communication leads to 5-star reviews in the end. Routine cleaning as well. That's how we manage it at Houst in regards to pushing cleaners there all the time, checking up on the property, taking live photographs after each clean. And as a result, we make sure that the property is kept to its highest level for every guest that turns up to the property. We also partner with some of the best specialized holiday let insurance companies, Guardhog, and also AirCover themselves with Airbnb. These insurance companies cover up to £3 million worth of damage. So as a result, if anything does happen from the guest's fault, it will be covered by these insurance partners. I was just going to touch quickly on one of the worst cases I've done was actually happening on Friday night, torrential rain in London. One of our properties that we manage and we own ourselves and let out on Airbnb had a leak in its roof. I guess we're staying there at 3 a.m. first on them, which is a horrible experience. So straight away, our guest team were informed. They rang our team up. We sent out a plumber within the hour. To really mention, he realised he cannot fix the problem there and then just turn off the water altogether. Our team worked at 3 a.m. in the morning to find another close Airbnb in the area that we had and we managed and get the guests there, all paid for, all compensated for as a sorry. And we still received a 5-star review for that property just because of the way in which our guests were handled in that situation. So how to ensure a 5-star rating? So this is a constant thing we get asked, and many of you are wanting to hear on this. So flexibility is key. As a 5-star rating, you want to be able to not be angry when a guest doesn't turn up at 3 a.m. for their check-in, or doesn't leave at quarter past 11 rather than 11 for their check-in. We are very flexible. We understand that guests have their own time, they have their own schedules, all of that. It's just about being communicating constantly with these guys, being responsive to them. If they have any questions at all, whether they can Google half questions they ask us. We basically look at look at the questions there. We basically look at being communicating with them as much as possible, making them understand the situation, anything they need to know about the area, anything they need to know about the property, we make sure our team does. Clear guide instructions as well, not just for our internal teams, but also for the guests. Some more tips and tricks to make sure this 5-star review comes your way. You can add personal touches in your property. A lot of our hosts build themes into their properties, whether that's going for minimalism with our interior designers, or add special touches such as a thank you card or a wine, or a bottle of wine on arrival. We want to ensure an accurate representation of the property on the listing. I'm fed up with all these massive estate agent wide-angle lenses. We don't do that at Houst. We just use our professional photographers and optimize what the property actually looks like, rather than giving a false impression, which ultimately leads to, if it doesn't lay out to expectation, a bad review and sacrifices the other key potentially. We also recommend local attractions such as independent bars and wine shops to guests for their guest experience at. Especially if we got a lot of foreign guests stay in our properties, it's great to give them local attractions in the area so they know when they come to London or wherever it is in the world that they can really experience a great vibe from that area. So communicating with guests prior to the stay, basically answering any questions about the property and bookings. Well, I think we see this takes 7 to 8 hours in total during a month, right? This is in with like talking about check-in times, where the keys are going to be, all of that hassle. Then can you do a special deal for me if I come from Monday to Tuesday or Wednesday? You don't have to deal with that. We have to deal with that all as our team will, taking away all that hassle and hours associated with that. We make sure when the property is onboarded, our host gives us enough information to make sure we have complete overview of the property, nothing's hidden. As if you hide facts from us, it just damages the chance of your 5-star review making it. Anything we need to know about the property, whether like the special way the dishwasher works, all of that. You tell us on the onboarding process, where someone of our client or someone from our team will come to your house and take all the notes they need and data on that property and build your listing out. So during the stay, communicating with your guests. So we do this all, but if you choose to do this yourself, or checking in the guests is obviously one of the quite time consuming. You can even meet them in person for that 5-star review. We love that to do that. We have many properties we can't, unfortunately, but we do our video calling with the guests as they arrive to the property to make sure they're comfortable and satisfied with how easy it is to check in. Any concerns or addressing any issues, we'll make sure that's done within the hour, as we said earlier. And yeah, we basically do about 92% or this 90 to 92% of all calls answered in an hour to make sure any problem arises is dealt with quickly and the guest has that hotel experience almost. After the stay, we make sure we contact the guest post-stay and ask for any feedback about what happened, leave us a review. If they weren't satisfied, we offer them compensation sometimes, but this is very rare. We also say if you come back the next time, we offer them discounts if they come and stay again, because especially if they were great guests. Yeah, so we make sure we keep that long-term relationship, reaching out, pushing for that review. As reviews, good reviews on Airbnb, push your property up in the algorithm, reassure, and make sure your booking, your property stands out on the platform. So this is one quote we got sent the other day by Airbnb. Airbnb hosts who respond within an hour have a booking rate that is 50% higher than hosts who take longer than an hour to respond. So that just shows how critical it is to be on the responsiveness and responding, whether it's 3:30 in the morning, they've sent you a message, they want you to respond in that. As soon as it goes past the hour, the satisfaction level drops completely almost, or by half, and that just brings down the reviews dramatically.
Just to really real quickly run you through, Brendan, regarding the question is, if the occupancy is only based on the amount of days you let, if you let for 10 days and it's full 10 days, that's 100% occupancy. Yeah, so it all depends basically on a base-to-base, it's a case-on-case basically situation. So if you're a host who has a lot of availability in their property, so it's an investment property renting out full-time, according to your availability is the occupancy rate that you get. So like you were saying, if it's 10 days and we let it out for 10 days, that's 100% occupancy rate. If you have 30 days available, we let it out for 24, that's around an 80% occupancy rate. So that's sort of how the modern system works.
Cool. There was another question from earlier on from Christina. Is Houst extending to any other countries? She's looking at Barcelona as well as Manchester.
So we do actually currently operate in Manchester, Christina. And on top of that, we are planning on expanding, and we will reach out, of course, as soon as we are in Barcelona. And we can help you take care of the whole management process of it, which I will be running everyone through a little bit more down the line. Shouldn't take too long, and I'll provide you with the full scope of how our service works.
Cool. There was another question regarding the example we gave earlier of the revenue. So basically, Brendan was asking the example of the 60K last year for the client who moved to short let with you. I'm guessing that is before you deduct the 15% Airbnb fee and then House fee 15 to 20%. So basically, they're asking if that is net or gross revenue.
Yeah. So the figure that you'd see were provided through a host's dashboard. And through the host dashboard and the charts that are provided, those show you the net figures. So that is the net payout after all deductions have been concluded, including Airbnb's 15%, and depending on what percentage we take, our cut as well. Perfect. Well, for me to take the lead from here, a lot of good examples for you to think about, and we were speaking about earlier, to provide that amazing guest experience. Sometimes it could always prove beneficial to create a sort of itinerary for your guests. As you see an example in front of you right here, this is just a sort of itinerary we gave for a guest in Brighton, kind of an idea as to what they could do in the mornings. That's usually quite helpful for tourists coming in, which, as you can imagine, is quite a significant piece of this market. So it's always good. Anything that you can provide guests with always helps in them having a good experience, leaving a good review, which then boosts up your profits as well. Now, another big question that everyone always hears and everyone always asks really is, how can I find a good cleaner who can take care of all of this for myself? To get a 5-star cleaning rate, the best place for you to find them would be on websites such as bark.com, wicasa.co.uk, TaskRabbit, and many other platforms as well. It's always important as well for you to sort of go through a vetting procedure with these cleaners, look for previous references, and of course, to make sure that you've seen sort of previous work of theirs. And that's always quite helpful to make sure that everything's up to your standard and you're getting the 5-star experience with the clean, as well as the 5-star guest experience for them on board. So for you to get a cleaner into the property to take care of everything, it is always important for you to set certain cleaning instructions. So a lot of you might know that some properties, they have different materials that need to, sort of mahogany wood, different marble floors that need different materials. So in order to make sure that everything flows smoothly, it's always good to let the cleaners know which materials to use. Just a slight induction and slight instruction, which helps them from that case. Now, again, when it's still communicating about the 5-star cleaning rate, the most important, and through all these technological advances we're having now, auto booking cleans after each stay is always good, and it's very important to have backups because in the end, sometimes situations do arise, and the most important part is you being able to compromise. So always having a plan B never fails, and being able to make sure that it all flows perfectly for yourself, as well as to make sure that everything did flow smoothly. It is always good to sort of make sure that the cleaners have arrived to the property prior to cleaning it. And after the certain time or the average time that it takes to clean the property, always ask for references such as photography, photos of the property, and of course, a bit of a report on that. So you see here that the cleaning industry as well, quite prone to huge talent. To keep a very good cleaner, it's always good to ensure steady volume of cleaning jobs. So making sure that you have a lot of availability to maintain demand for it to be quite a fruitful opportunity for them as well. It's always good to make sure that it is quite accessible to them, because again, speaking earlier, any inconveniences due to sort of transportation. Prime example is London. You know how London could get with all the different traffics and issues with the underground system. So having someone in the vicinity always proves quite helpful. It is always also good to build a trustworthy relationship with them and just to really get to know them, because that way, when both of you are on board, you make sure that everyone's giving their all and their best, and it's best outcome for the both of you. As well as important as ever, to show appreciation by tipping and leaving them good clean ratings, because just like how you were able to reference them from before, they might need a reference from yourself later. So it's always good to keep that two-way street. So to give you a little bit of summary about to make sure that the property is fully maintained and cleaned properly, to make sure that you're keeping the comfort and safety of guests, make sure that it's always regularly cleaned, to always check for damages as well. You could check for them yourself, or you can let the cleaners know to search for certain pain points for yourself. Make sure that you're regularly scheduling maintenance and double checking that everything's flowing smoothly, no leaks, electricity, gas, those sort of things. Make sure that you are vetting guests accordingly, and you want to make sure that everything flows as smoothly as possible. And if guests do have any issues, make sure that you can get back to them as soon as possible. It goes back to what my colleague Sam said earlier. You have that sort of 1-hour marker to make sure that bookings get higher than 50%. Now, the main question before I do move on, what I will say is a lot of hosts like yourself currently thinking like a lot of things do go into Airbnb, and being able to respond promptly to a guest message, let's say from a guest who has to deal with a leak at 2 in the morning, how are you going to deal with it if you're overseas or you're abroad? Well, that is precisely where we come into play and what we're here for. So to give you a little bit of insight about partnering with us here at Houst, who we are in general is we're a property management company, and we use, like we said, a blended approach to earn clients like yourselves around 56% more than you would on a regular long let. From Airbnb all the way to Rightmove, and we mentioned our sort of tech advances that we have, whether it's our algorithm, our communications with guests, our cleaning, all these different contingencies we have in place to make sure this service flows as smoothly as possible for yourselves. Since 2015, just to let you guys know as well, we've managed over 250,000 guest stays and have earned our clients over £100 million in the meantime. This goes back to what I was saying earlier. It shows you a little bit of a graph that could be worrying for some, but nothing to worry about. And that's what we're here. Shows you that landlords spend around 50 hours a month, if not more, dealing with sort of these different aspects of Airbnb. So 15 hours on cleaning, 10 hours on meeting and greeting guests, the laundries, restocking, all of these different things that can happen and that can arise. A lot of work does go into it, and that is precisely what we're here for. A bit more insight as to our reach and scope. Like my colleague Tom mentioned earlier, we do operate in around 19 cities around the world with over 6,000 properties managed by us and over £112 million in revenue collected for hosts. So of course, the main question is that most of you have is there are tens, if not hundreds, of Airbnb management services out there. So what makes us stand out and what makes us different from everyone else? So one of the most important things, like we mentioned earlier on, is having exposure. For you to have exposure, you need to list your property on as many platforms as possible. And dealing with all of the inflow that could come in, you need the right team to make sure that everything flows smoothly from that end. Apart from the whole listing side of things, we do also source our own cleaners and linens as well. So we don't use any third-party cleaning. All cleaners, like we mentioned, are vetted by ourselves. We've looked for previous references, and they've gone through all these standard procedures to make sure that all our cleans are 5-star, if not more. Advanced pricing optimization goes to a lot of our different pricing strategies, from our pricing team all the way to our algorithm, which we always take into account market trends and sort of the figures of what's going on in the regions, even in the localities of where your properties are based, and always adjusting the price accordingly. A lot of platforms fail to catch these certain fluctuations, and when you're able to maximize much more, you actually end up losing a bit more than that, and that's what we take care of for yourself. And again, we provide 24/7 guest support, so at any point in time, if guests have any questions, even again, if it's 5 in the morning, believe it or not, those do come in, and we will be taking care of everything for yourselves and making sure this process is as hassle-free as possible for yourselves. It goes back to this. This is sort of what we just went through. A couple of things as well is that we do guest check-ins with a self-check-in, like my colleague Tom explained earlier on, so it's quite important. And of course, you will have access to all of this afterwards that you can read through in your own time and familiarize yourself a bit more with. So another big question that everyone asks is more towards the vetting procedure and how do we stop parties or damage from taking place. So the first thing that we always do is cross-reference every guests to previous bookings and for them to be approved, of course. We go through a thorough vetting procedure with each. We guests as well, just to let you know, always do pay upfront for all of these bookings. So there is no delay from that end. And it's all about making sure that we're conveying the correct information and going through the according procedures to have everything flow smoothly as possible. Just like Tom said earlier, we enforce a minimum stay of 3 nights, and as well as going through this whole lengthy procedure to make sure it's all done perfectly. So again, why do people go for short-term lettings, and why is this genuinely the future and more hosts are joining every day? First thing, of course, is the main reason a lot of people are here, is to generate additional revenue when the property is not in use. You know, a lot of us are struggling now with the rising mortgage rates and all of these different things that are affecting the economy and inflation in general. And joining towards this model makes you capitalize as much as possible and make sure that you're maximizing the efficiency of your property. The flexibility of your property as well, for some hosts who would like to even dip their toes going back into some of these investment properties they have, or even stay at when they're living at the property to rent it out, they have that flexibility to let us know and organize for dates they want to get bookings in and close off the ones that they don't, which is always great. It gives you as well control over everything that is going on. So you'll be able to make sure that everything's flowing smoothly. And of course, you have our teams taking care of all the vetting, which we do ourselves.
So I think Gia had a few questions, and it might be good to clarify how exactly do we collaborate with our partner networks of cleaners. So they were saying, for example, in their case, typically they don't have any interaction with the cleaner. They only can get feedback from the support team based on uploaded photos. So is that kind of a similar interaction? And also they were saying if the quality of cleaning is bad as a host, so far they haven't had choice or much choice to pick or change to a different cleaning company. Can you detail a bit about how that is different at Houst?
Of course. So again, it goes back to us in sourcing all of our cleaners. So some of these issues where you'd have an issue with the cleaners, then you'd have to go, you're using a third-party site, then you'd have to go through their end and their communications, and then wait for them to reach out to the cleaner to take care of all of that. And then you have no direct contact or, of course, anything to be done with. And these are third-party sites that deal with not just yourself, but multiple other companies, if not hosts around the globe. What we do here at Houst is, again, we manually vet every cleaner that we have. And we're always, again, doing thorough checks with themselves, just to let everybody know here as well that cleaners will take photos of the property as a whole after every guest stay and upload them up to your host dashboard, which you can always take a look at and see. So these are certain procedures that we go through, and we have different algorithms that basically check which cleaner did the best job after the first couple of cleans. And then it starts sending them over and over and over to make sure it's flowing smoothly. You have someone who knows the perfect layout of the land and at the same time is doing an amazing job at the cleaner.
Cool, thanks for that. And I'll take another question from a bit earlier. So Andrew was basically asking, typically, what should be expected as a percentage of gross revenue for things like supplies or consumables, let's say kitchen supplies, soap, toiletries, and also then for bigger things like repairs and maintenance?
So to be honest, to give you a precise figure on it, it's a bit of a hard one because, again, it's all on case basis. You know, sometimes you can get a leaky tap or sometimes you can get a pipe burst, which are two completely different spectrums of an issue. With regards to linen, with regards to toiletries, sorry, it's usually not quite as significant as you'd imagine. It's just you would supply them early on and you'd have a whole supply in the house. And then whenever needed, the cleaners would go out and refresh them with basically the same materials to make sure it's all smooth. So just to put it on a figure, I'd say about maybe potentially 0.5% to 2%, something of that range, in a whole year, if not much less.
So Yana was specifically asking earlier about if we're able to take on apartments, multiple apartments in, let's say, London, Battersea, Walkers of Flats. So I kind of answered very briefly in the chat saying yes, but it might be useful to kind of help people that are, for example, owners of properties that are apartments and block of flats. Kind of, okay, what are the different permissions they might need to seek as leaseholders versus someone who owns a house outright on the land, and that's free?
Absolutely. So from that end, we always say that it's best for you to communicate with the leaseholder, whether it's a managed building or anything, a residential kind of tower with they have their own management. You'd always have to double check with them first because you need to make sure that everything flows smoothly from that end. But as long as everything from that end works perfectly and they say it's all right, you can't do these short lets, we'll be able to manage it all for yourself.
Cool. And now I would also kind of want to launch 2 more questions for the end. We're closing up for now the Q&A. Just go through the final last slides, and there's a small poll if you guys can give us any feedback in terms of whether you found this useful or not. And again, our sincere apologies for the connection that we had, which was not that great today, but unfortunately it's a circumstance beyond our control. So,
I'd also like to just add quickly before you all go, our team are here for a free consultation. We're very happy to jump on a call with you and consult and let you know what we can do for your property, how we can maximize your income, and how we can take away all the hassles associated with Airbnb. Please go onto our website, click the call with our free consultation button now, and book a call. You guys choose when you want. Jump on that call with our experts, and we can let you know all anything to do with your personal objectives and what we recommend with your property. Thank you so much. Have a great evening and a great bank holiday. And I really do appreciate you jumping on the call with House. I hope it was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, which is based on how to energy optimize and make sure it's eco-efficient Airbnb, saving you thousands on your bills, and also maximizing your yield and your revenue for minimizing any expenditure to do with Airbnb. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.